Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever, whenever you're listening to this show. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, welcoming you to yet another show of Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This evening is episode 238, and I'd like to thank everybody for joining me, whether you listen live, and I see Paul's already arrived in the chat room there, whether you listen to the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us, and if you listen via the rebroadcast, at the moment Red State Talk Radio, but I will shortly be announcing a new network that will also be carrying me. So just waiting for the details on that, and we'll let you know how you can get connected that way. And as ever, I will say thank you to all my listeners for spending this hour a week with me. I hope you enjoy it. And especially if you enjoy it, please tell your friends, family, acquaintances about the show, and also the different ways that you can listen to the show. You don't have to listen live. I know for some people it's a little late in the evening, but you can listen anytime. Download it to your MP3 player, download it to your car, whatever. Listen in the car, listen on the train, listen in the gym. You know, please do listen. Hopefully the messages I bring are interesting and useful to everyone. So, tonight's show, I'd like to tell you a little bit what's going on. Tonight's show comes from Cumming, Georgia. And I've got quite a long list of different topics that I want to run through. Probably handle them in a little less depth than I normally do. Just, shake things up a bit, change a little bit, and also no major weekly commentary. I've been doing that the last 2, 3, 4 shows. I'm going to skip it this time, and like I said, just do something a little bit differently. And I didn't really feel there was anything specifically that I wanted to rant on about this week. Yes, there's lots of things I could rant on about, but nothing that really grabbed me. And I think for the commentary, I want to have something that really grabs me. And of course, there are things like Ebola going on, but I've talked about that, and nobody ever listens to what I said. At least nobody in power. You listeners do, and again, I thank you for that, but nobody listens, because I think for Ebola, the simple answer is don't cancel all the flights. Everybody keeps saying, why do we cancel the flights? Why do we cancel flights? No, just let the people from West Africa come here and put them in a camp for 3 weeks, and if at the end of 3 weeks they're still healthy, then they can go on, and by the way, make them pay for the camp as well. But anyway, like I said, no commentary, or that's the shortest commentary we're going to get. So we're going to move on, and I'm going to start with these hopefully short and quick topics. And the first one I entitle, is this the beginning of the end? Are the Democrats beginning to realize they are losing it? It turns out in Kentucky, where Alison Grime was basically within striking distance of Mitch McConnell, I think about 4 percentage points, although nowadays if you're that much behind, that used to be the margin of error, but nowadays they give you up immediately, and that's exactly what the Democrat Senatorial Campaign Committee has done. They've pulled all of their ad buys for the remaining 3 weeks of Alison Grimes' campaign. And at the time she was in striking distance, within 4 points of Mitch McConnell. Of course, in the upcoming polls between now and the actual election, there's a good likelihood that she's going to start slipping back from that 4%. Two big reasons. The most recent one is that on a recent interview, or maybe it was it was the interview. It wasn't a debate. It was an interview. She actually refused to answer questions whether or not she had voted for Dear Leader. Now, she said, I believe it's a matter of principle, and, the voting booth is sacrosanct. You're not supposed to say, but she absolutely refused to say. Now, before I get to the other reason why she's slipping in the polls, I want to give her a little message. She is a regressive, so I'll try and keep it in simple language because they don't understand big words. Also, I don't really expect her to be listening to this show. So if someone who is listening, please forward this message to her. Dear Ms. Grimes, you are a Democrat. You're running as a Democrat. You're espousing Democrat values. Nobody expects you to have voted for Romney or McCain. So why don't you own up? Refusing to do that makes you look bad. There, very simple message. And of course, we have to realize that her campaign hasn't been looking good because James O'Keefe and the Project Veritas caught people on her team admitting that she's going to be lying to get elected, for example, by pretending to support coal mining in Kentucky. What else can we expect from regressive? She's going to lie. She's going to tell all these stories about being independent, not being anybody's man or woman, whatever you want to say, not being anybody's person, not beholden to anyone. But can you guess that she might vote exactly the way that Harry Reid wants her when she reaches the Senate? I think so. But she won't admit to it, so whatever. And before we go to the next topic, just like to say hi to Rex. Rex has joined us as well. So Paul and Rex, the very regular listeners in the chat room. If anybody is listening live, and unfortunately there are no statistics during the show that show me how many live listeners are actually there, but there's a little speech balloon with some dots in it where you click to listen to the show. Click on that and you can join us all in the chat room. I try to follow what's going on there, and the people in the chat room chat amongst themselves and have some interesting discussions. Please do. It's nice to know who's out there. So Rex and Paul, thanks for being there. Okay, next topic. Call this a comparison. This is something for, these are really a set of statistics for your next discussion with an anti-gun nutcase. It's a comparison between the city of Chicago and the city of Houston. So let's go down some of the numbers here. Chicago has a population of 2.7 million. Houston has a population of 2.15 million. So that's close enough to being the same. The median income in both cities is also pretty close. $38,600 in Chicago and $37,000 annually in Houston. So again, close enough probably for this discussion. Minorities, if you add African American and Hispanics together, both cities come out round about just under 70%, around about 68%. Slight difference. Chicago has more African Americans. Houston has more Hispanics. Don't know if that really should make a difference in some of the other numbers we're going to come to. It's up to you. Other minorities, Asians, almost exactly the same, just over 5% in both cases. And that means, obviously, that non-Hispanic whites in both cities also about the same, just a little bit under 30%, between 28 and 26% in both cities. So now we get to the interesting information. Number of homicides in 2012 in Chicago, 1,806. Number of homicides in Houston, 207. So that means the homicides per 100,000 inhabitants, 38.4 in Chicago, 9.6 in Houston. That's a big difference. Let's look at other differences. Concealed carry law. Chicago, one of the most draconian gun control laws, basically that nobody can carry a gun. So no concealed carry law. Houston, yeah, they have a concealed carry law. Chicago, number of gun stores, 0. 0? No gun stores? Is it really that bad in Chicago? Yep, it is. Well, what about Houston then? Do they have 10 or 20? No, actually, they have 184 gun stores plus 1,500 other legal places to buy guns and ammunition. For example, Walmart, Kmart, etc. So that's, let's say almost 1,700 versus 0. Now do you understand why the number of homicides and homicides per 100,000 is so much lower in Houston? Yeah. People carry guns, and therefore bad people, are not going to be waving guns around because they know they're probably going to get shot. Oh, but the administration, the regime, has an excuse for this. But let's have a look what the excuse is. Okay. Average January high temperature, degrees Fahrenheit. 31 in Chicago, 63 in Houston. The conclusion of the regime, global warming leading to inexplicable temperature drops in the northern hemisphere, causes huge increases in murder rates. Hardy ha. Okay, these it's so funny it doesn't bear laughing. Anyway, let's move on to the next topic. And the next topic is about something that dear leader did, which defies all rational sanity. Just absolutely unbelievable that he would do that. But then again, he probably dreamt it up while he was on the golf course. For someone who has run two such, I have to say, very well run campaigns to get elected, the amount of times that he's putting his foot in his mouth or just doing the most stupid things is unbelievable. Is he doing it accidentally or deliberately just to annoy us? Every time I say, give him the benefit of the doubt, but quite frankly, no, I think he's doing it deliberately to annoy us. So what did he do this time? David Myers, the director of Department of Homeland Security Center for Faith-Based and Neighborhood Partnerships, spoke at the Islamic Society of Greater Oklahoma City for their festival celebrating a Muslim holiday. He also delivered a message from Obama thanking the mosque for their service in the wake of a tornado that hit the area last year. This particular message, which read, "Your service is a powerful example of the powerful roots of the Abrahamic faiths and how our communities can come together with shared peace, with dignity, and a sense of justice." However, that is a very strange message. This was just a week or 2 weeks after a member of that mosque had beheaded a grandmother at the company where he worked. And let's remember some other things about this mosque. So it wasn't just the Oklahoma beheading. The mosque was the same one attended by the 20th hijacker on 9/11, the one that never got on the planes. The mosque has ties to the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is a known Hamas front group. A man who attended the mosque confirmed that its teachings were consistent with radical Islam, including waging jihad against non-believers. So here's this very radical mosque, and Obama sends it a message congratulating them right after the beheading. Again, folks, those optics are not good. Is the guy just absolutely tone deaf? I don't know. Anyway, time for a break. Good listen to these messages, and I will be back anon.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Attention. Have you been in a serious automobile accident? Then you need to call our attorneys now. We specialize in helping our clients get compensated for major auto injuries. If you've been in any type of car or motorcycle accident and you've been seriously injured, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Our attorneys have recovered millions and millions of dollars for injured clients. There are no out-of-pocket costs to you ever. We only receive a fee when we win your case. We are available 24/7. If you've been in an accident and been seriously injured, make this free call to our attorneys now. Call the Personal Injury Center at 800-634-1315. 800-634-1315. 800-634-1315. That's 800-634-1315. This ad is paid for by participating member law firms. We are not an attorney referral service. Representation may not be available in your state.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And this is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, and a proud American at that. Okay, let's move on to another topic. Like I said, this evening it's going to be quick, short ones. This one is about the Republican establishment getting its excuses ready. Getting its excuses ready in case its candidates don't win enough in the elections coming up in November. And basically it's going to be because we did not open our purses. Now I have to say it's probably true that the Democrats are going all out to get as much money as possible. But I don't think that's the reason that we're not paying. We don't want to keep up with the Democrats. They really have to work hard because they know they're in a bad position. I think the problem is that the establishment forgets that they've been waging a war on many conservative members, and that's going to turn off a lot of your people. That means they're not going to go vote. They're not going to send you money. Look at the dirty tricks, like getting Democrats to mess things up in the Republican primary in Mississippi. And then, of course, when they do have people, we've got mealy-mouthed, Me Too, ancient moderates, Thad Cochran, Pat Roberts in Kansas, and they wonder why they're not, why someone like Omran is actually beating somebody like Pat Roberts. If you've ever seen him on the TV, it looks as if he's ready to fall asleep every time. So the Tea Party especially is supposed to forget all these abuses and just get behind and open their wallets. No, I don't think so. And I think they're in danger of not being able to get as many seats as they could in the Senate. Right now, everybody's saying it's look as if they will get the majority, so Harry Reid will be out of a job, thank goodness. But they could have done so much better. And, Karl Rove has been talking on this, could have the architect, but also part of the establishment. He says, the job approval numbers are lousy. No Democrat in competitive Senate race polls above 50%. GOP enthusiasm is high, and independents are trending Republican, and yet Democrats are still doing quite well. And doesn't take very much to find out why. The reason is because the GOP has not come up with a decent plan. Even a talk show host like Sean Hannity comes up with a 6-point plan, very easy to understand. That's what they should be out there. Very easy to understand. Here are the six points. They don't even need to get so detailed, but having some points is better than no points at all. It seems like they're afraid to say anything. And of course, whenever they do say something, the left comes out, and this isn't just the political left, but the mainstream media, and beats them on those points. But folks, when you've got nothing at all, then you're not going to win people over either. So let's see. In the top 10 Senate races, they say that the Democrats have raised 4 times the money. Well, folks, if the American people are stupid enough to let the Democrats buy the election, then we must, we just have to throw up our hands and say, what else can we do? Because raising that amount of money shouldn't make a difference. And and now it's too late to really make any huge difference. If people don't look and see what the Democrats are doing, heaven help us. But anyway, we'll see. Hopefully we will get that majority, but we won't get a big enough or as big a majority. So as I think I've said this before, Republicans are very good at snatching defeat from the jaws of victory. We'll see what happens. Okay. Another topic. This is a very frightening one. This is about the First Amendment. I saw a tweet and I did some further research, and it's right. Multiple college administrators have been telling students they can't distribute U.S. constitutions while on public property. Now, the contention is, in many cases, the college administrators are saying colleges are not public property, but it's public taxpayers' money that pays for them. And you would think college is supposed to be a bastion of discussion and freedom of ideas, but no, they're not allowed to pass out the Constitution. How can we ever be so stupid? So, what the many colleges have done have created free speech zones on public university campuses. But they're used to stifle speech because they're hidden away in some corner, very small amount of space where nobody comes, and that's the only place you can have free speech. Otherwise, you've got to apply in advance. You've got to say what you're doing. You've got to do it, in some cases, 5 days beforehand. All sorts of rules, basically to shut the students up, because those lefty professors don't want right-wing students telling others the truth. And it's ironic that they're being stopped from passing out the US Constitution when being told not to do so is probably unconstitutional. So where did this happen? University of Hawaii in Hilo was the first one. And basically, the complaint filed in federal court to overturn the decision of the college administrators. The university's free speech zone is essentially a muddy ravine that occupies less than 1% of the university's campus. Can you imagine that? Less than 1% is the only place where you can speak freely. What happened to the First Amendment, folks? Then you have Modesto Junior College. Let's see, where is that? I'm not sure whether that's in Oregon or California. They were doing the same thing, trying to distribute free copies of the Constitution on Constitution Day. Can you imagine how ironic that is? And the student was standing in front of the student center on campus, a likely forum to communicate with his peers. And when do you think it's about communication? But he had to get permission 5 days in advance, and he could only distribute them in the free speech area. And like the Hawaii case, the complaint, because obviously conservative groups have jumped in to legally challenge this, they allege that the so-called free speech area was a mere 600 square foot stage. Now, this college, Modesto Junior College, has eliminated the speech zone and settled the case. So that is good news. A public university in Oregon threatened to call the police on students handing out the U.S. Constitution on campus because they refused to do so in the free speech area. And again, another conservative group videoed this. 4 students were handing it out, and this was at Southern Oregon University. And the video shows multiple college administrators telling the students that passing out the Constitution in the public area was against school policy and not allowed. Unconstitutional administrators. The administrator, director of university housing, said, "I would very much like you to leave, if you would please, because the students have the right to be able to come by here without you guys, invading their space and asking them to do something." Boo-hoo. Another one, the Alison Beck said, "We have our free speech zone. I understand you may not like it, but that's where it is." The students, and in this case they were affiliated with the group Students for Concealed Carry, which is probably one of the reasons why these college administrators were being so uppity, refused to comply with the instructions, contending they were unconstitutional. They actually said, "Thank you for coming down here and explaining to us the unconstitutional policies here on campus, but we're not going to move." And the students tried to explain that what the officials were doing was unconstitutional because the students were on public property and that they were protected by the First Amendment. By the way, even though the administrators threatened it, campus police never appeared and the group never complied to halt their activities. So they had some backbone, and hats off to them. We've got another minute. Yes, so let me say, what did happen to the First Amendment? Because it's not only on the colleges. Officials with the city of Houston, who are defending a controversial ordinance that would allow men to use women's restrooms, now have demanded to see the sermons preached by several area pastors. The recent move came in a subpoena from the city to pastors for copies of their sermons and other communications, while the city was legally defending a non-discrimination measure that allows gender-confused people to use public restrooms designated for the opposite sex. There is a lawsuit challenging Houston's move that claims the city violated its own charter in the adoption of the Equal Rights Ordinance. And it actually designated homosexuals and transgender persons a protected class. Well, this is absolutely crazy, but we're going to talk about it in a moment because now I have to play some commercials, as I like to say. Keep the wolf from the door, pay the rent. So I will be back again very shortly. Just hang on, we'll be back.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Every day, millions of Americans grow more concerned about the future of our great nation. The truth is, over the last century, a small but powerful collectivist movement known as progressivism has debased our politics, our culture, and our currency. We're just a small step from falling into 1,000 years of darkness, as Ronald Reagan warned. Friend, this is Pat Boone with an important free offer on a hot new book called The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Lowell Ponte. This new book explains how we, the people, can end this fatal detour into big government and get back on the path of faith and freedom charted by our founders. Call now for a free copy of the hot new book called The Great Withdrawal.
Call now for your free copy. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. That's 800-978-3901.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the Tax Doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the Tax Doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. Again, 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. Yes, and this is Stefan. We're into the second half of the show. Thank you for listening, and just want to remind all listeners, if you want to contact me, if you're not in the chat room where you can pose questions, then please send me an email, stefan@patrickcomelately.us, or go to www.patrickcomelately.us, and you can fill out, there is a contact button on the, I believe on the left there of that homepage. Go to the contact page and it will generate an email to me. Send me your questions, comments. Love to hear from my listeners, either directly email or via the contact form. It's great to hear from you, and of course I do like to, if I can, answer your especially questions or comments, bring them on the air, but I will also answer directly to you, so that you can get some feedback immediately. But I do also like to do it on the air. And just one thing that's come up recently with the, I do have the commercials going, but I've decided to throw it open for listeners as well. If you're interested in reaching an audience, yes, I'm no rush with millions of listeners, but right now getting over 2,000 listeners a month, being I'm getting good ratings in Red State Talk Radio and all the other avenues, Stitcher, Top Talk Radio, etc. So they all contribute to that, and also with the new network coming up, which I promised I'll in the next week or two, give you some more information. Those numbers should increase. So contact me, and I'm sure I can make you an offer that you can't refuse. Anyway, let's go back to what we were talking about. Another First Amendment issue, this time in Houston, where they're subpoenaing pastors for copies of their sermons. What right does the city have to do that? Even if the pastors were critical of the city, so what? How does that affect the court case? People don't agree with it. And the reason people wanted to do this is because critics feel that sexual predators can dress as women and then enter female public bathrooms, locker rooms, shower facilities for their own sexual gratification. Excuse me that I'm so graphic about it, but that's exactly what they did. And there are examples of this happening in other cities, so this is why a group got together and said they wanted to actually have this rescinded. Now, we'll see a little bit later that this is that it's even worse than you might think. But right now, just the fact that Houston is thinking that they can take these things of public speech, First Amendment rights, and use them in court, that is frightening. However, as they like to say on the TV, there's more. Because that same Houston City Council, in handling this group that wanted to rescind this measure and got the necessary number of signatures on a referendum, and the coalition that was against this got 55,000 signatures. City Secretary Anna Russell confirmed in writing that the petition sponsored had submitted over 17,000 qualified signatures. Actually, 17,846, which is 600 at least over the minimum 1,700. Now, there were 55,000, so obviously she didn't have time to count them all, but there were more than enough. However, the city attorney announced that 2,500 petitions were invalid because of technical problems. And of course, they choose the 17,000 that had been counted without looking at the remaining 55 of the 55,000. So the public submitted more than 3 times the legally required number of petitions, but the city council just said, no, we deem that not enough were submitted. So the mayor and city attorney defied the law and rejected the certification. Another example of the elitists in government just deciding that they can do whatever they like. And of course, there was someone who had a very good idea on that. Let me just play that.
In this present crisis, government is not the solution to our problem. Government is the problem.
And let's go on to a topic. Why is the coalition in Houston against it? Well, there have been similar measures in cities all across the country. And there was an example of a man in Indianapolis went into a women's locker room and watched girls aged between 7 and 10 shower. Folks, that is just totally sick. An activist, Stephen Hotz, said that the ordinance would establish minority status for transvestites. Again, allowing men dressed as women to enter women's public bathrooms. He says, I want to protect my wife, daughters, and granddaughters being exposed to the dangers of male sexual predators masquerading as women in women's public bathrooms, etc. And they all call it the Sexual Predators Protection Act. There have been similar cases in Maryland, Florida, and Colorado. Colorado also has a very radical transgender non-discrimination bill, makes it illegal to deny any person access to any public accommodations, including restrooms and locker rooms, based on gender identity or the perception of gender identity, which allows a 6-year-old Coy Mathis, a boy who says he thinks he's a girl, to use the girls' bathroom at his elementary school. I mean, sick, folks. But okay, what can we do about it? Just vote the bums out. And we will. Things we're going to clean up. We're going to start with the Senate. But we also have to remember, don't forget your local races. You also have to do stuff to get rid of these crazy, regressive nutcases that bring in all these stupid laws. But on to the next topic, folks. Keep it quick. Air Force pilots frustrated by Obama's reluctance to bomb ISIS targets. Within the U.S. Air Force, there's mounting frustration that the air campaign against ISIS is moving far more slowly than expected. Yes, and ISIS is on the border almost of Baghdad, and all sorts of restrictions. Instead of a fast-moving operation with hundreds of sorties flown in a single day, which is what the Air Force would like to do, American warplanes are hitting small numbers of targets after a painstaking and cumbersome process. In other words, they've got to go and ask permission for each and every process. Why? 2 reasons. One, Obama obviously doesn't want to allow innocent civilians to be killed. Agreed. We'd like to avoid it, but war is hard, and especially war against cowards like ISIS that mix themselves amongst civilians makes it very difficult. And so there is a kill chain, which means you have to properly identify and make sure the right target is being attacked. So instead of these hundreds of attacks every day, they're getting handfuls every day, and not just every day. Actually, most of the attacks are happening at night. They're not even letting the pilots fly during the day. One combat experienced pilot told the Daily Beast, the kill chain is very convoluted. No one really has the control in the tactical environment. In other words, they've got to probably go all the way back to Washington to ask permission to actually drop any bombs, hit anything. Now, part of the reason for that is there is nobody on the ground to direct the air power against ISIS positions. If you're going to fight an enemy who blends himself in with the civilian population, you have to have troops on the ground who can see exactly where the bad guys are and call in the strikes. From the sky, it's difficult to tell who's friend or who is foe. GPS coordinates are not all that accurate. They can be off. Weather, landscape, etc. can throw them off by as much as 500 feet. And that 500 feet can make the difference between the headquarters of the bad guys and a hospital or a school. Another option is to use laser-guided bombs, but even then the target has to be identified correctly beforehand and preferably painted with laser from people on the ground. But putting the specialized troops on the ground, which Pentagon calls JTACs or Joint Terminal Air Controllers, it comes with a cost. Is once you get American boots on the ground and one of those guys gets captured and beheaded on national TV, the people are worried that... I'm just having a look. What have we got here? The people are worried that the public are going to be horrified. Well, of course they're going to be horrified. The ISIS thugs will continue to do it. They're doing it with innocent civilians. The people in the planes know what they're getting into. The military know what they're getting into. But they would rather do it properly than this half namby-pamby, half-hearted mess that's going on at the moment. Okay, folks, next topic coming up, but before we do, time for our final commercial break, and I will be back.
Reporting from the eye of the storm. This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks. And I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again. I'm predicting this storm front is heading your way, so call Basement Systems and relax.
Call 800-205-8665 for your free in-home inspection, or visit basementradiooffer.com. That's 800-205-8665, or visit basementradiooffer.com.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-750-5371. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-750-5371. That's 877-750-5371.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And we're into the last segment of the show. Thanks for listening again, and remember, as I always say, if you like the show, please tell your friends, family, acquaintances. If you don't like the show, just tell your enemies. Spread the message. We need to get as many messages out. And remember, we're now about 3 weeks out before the elections. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be tight. And this next topic is going to talk a bit more about that. And this next topic is talking about Democrats using the false flag plan to steal the Senate. Now, let's be honest, we've already talked about the fact that they've probably outraised the Republicans 4-1 and applying most of that to the Senate races because they really don't want to lose the Senate. Hopefully it looks as if they will, but they're also using the dirty tricks. I guess all's fair in love and war and in politics, so maybe I shouldn't call them dirty tricks. I still think they are dirty tricks. And it's the false flag plan. What is that? Well, I've actually seen this before now as well. We had that when I was down in Florida, and we were fighting Alan Grayson, and there was a candidate who came up, and in Florida, the Tea Party name had not been registered as a political party, so somebody registered it as a political party, and we had a Tea Party candidate in the race. Strangely enough, nobody in the real Tea Party environment, and we had a lot of activists there, people like Jason Hoyt, Tom Tillerson, and a bunch of very good people that you would really call Tea Party activists. None of them had anything to do with that group. But strangely enough, the people that were responsible for registering that party in Tallahassee, where you had to register party, previously had been connected with the Democrat Party. And it seems that they got a lot of money from the Democrat Party. There was a lot of noise about the people responsible saying, no, we have nothing to do with the Democrats. But interestingly enough, the guy that was doing it had also spent time in jail for other political shenanigans. So, you couldn't really trust him. So that seemed to work for them. That was in 2010. In 2012, in Maine, the governor there, Angus King, ran as an independent to take the Republican seat that had been held by Olympia Snowe. But of course, once he arrived in the Senate, he was no longer an independent. He just fell in line with the Democratic caucus and walked lockstep with Harry Reid. So that seemed to work well for them. So they're doing more of it. So they're doing one of two things: either masquerading as independents in key Senate races, or putting in independents and supporting independents, libertarians, etc., because they tend to take votes away from the Republican candidate. And that way they hope to keep power in the Senate and help King Barry implement his plan to create a single party government in the U.S. Yes, a single party government is what he wants, just like in Russia in the 1930s. And this is a warning that Dick Morris is giving, who used to be a Democrat advisor. Now, let's have a look at who are some of these people. So we have Larry Pressler in South Dakota is running as an independent, in quotes, against former Governor Mike Rounds. The latest polling only puts him 2 points behind Rounds. There is a lot of discontent with the establishment, of course, in the country. So that's why independents have a chance, but people just don't see that what's going on. In Kansas, of course, Pat Roberts was doing very well, and then they had Greg Orman jump into the race. Orman, who's been a Republican and now voted for Obama in 2008 and 2012, backs Obamacare, embraces the Democratic platform, but calls himself an independent. Well, that's really stupid. And the fact that George Soros' son is reportedly hosting a fundraiser for Orman, that should give you an idea as where his loyalties lie. But do the people see that? No. In North Carolina, Republican Tom Tillis is in a close battle against Kay Hagan. About time we get rid of her. The only reason this race is close, though, is because Sean Hoare, a pizza delivery man, is running as the Libertarian candidate. And where is he getting his support, his money? Ask the Democrats. And finally, I talked about Alison Lundigan Grimes, who refuses to say that she voted for Obama and says she's in favor of supporting the coal industry in Kentucky. But everybody knows she will walk lockstep with Harry Reid when she gets into the Senate. So, folks, if you're in any of those voting areas, don't fall for the independent trick. They are not real independents. And, folks, it looks like we have reached the end of the show again. Very unfortunate. So it's been fun, hopefully slightly different with lots of topics this week. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Come back next week. We'll see what we have to talk about next week. But for now, I have to say TTFN, ta-ta for now. See you next week. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.